Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to, as the title says, I'm Randall Beatley, and this is my sports recap. The intro song is Fire in the Kitchen by Manifest. I'm here live on Google Hangouts, but I'm also, there's a wonderful app out there called Anchor. It's only for cellular devices, where you can do podcasts, and I'm trying that out as well. So if you want to go download it, I know it's on the App Store for Apple products. It might be on the Google Play Store. I'm sure they have it there. So it's a sports recap, and so what I'm going to go over real quick is the two games from yesterday in the NFL. Zion Williamson, I think the biggest thing I'm going to go over is 25th anniversary. But first, we'll start with Zion Williamson. 2 days ago on Saturday, he announced where he'd be playing basketball in college, and I'm assuming he'll be a one and done. He chose to go to the University of Duke. And now Duke has the top 3 prospects in the nation, with Reddish, him, and forgot the third guy. With that said, I think Duke is automatically going to be considered the number 1 team in the nation next year. I don't know. I was absolutely surprised with that decision. Going in, I thought it was down to 2 teams, being Kentucky and Clemson. And everyone assumed it would be Clemson, that he would pull a Trae Young and go home or stay home and not big programs like Duke or Kentucky or Kansas or North Carolina, that he would choose Clemson. And I'm just going to be, from my perspective, with an hour left to go. I mean, I was talking with some other people here, Jake and Cody, who are here on OSN. We were in a group chat. We were talking about it, and I was like, look, I have a really bad feeling. My stomach had a gut feeling he wouldn't choose Clemson. And that I really felt at that time Kentucky. And then, I was reading some of the tweets. And then I was leaning towards North Carolina, where he would go. And then he was like, okay, I'm going to go to Duke. And that absolutely surprised me. That was one of the schools I automatically sort of knocked out of the top 6. That Duke, Kansas, and South Carolina, I really gave no option at all for him to go to. But he proved me wrong, in that I if he wants to be a one and done, to me, honestly, go to Kentucky. Calipari's the best at getting one and done ready. He said he liked the brotherhood at Duke, that Duke offers. So we'll see how that Duke team is next year. So that's Zion Williamson. That's college basketball. Tomorrow, I think the new AP rankings, or maybe they come out today. Sorry. So I think they come out today. Might be out already. I haven't got an update on them. I'm going to check real quick. NCAA basketball rankings. So yeah, I don't think the new ones come out yet. Actually, yes, they have. Okay, so these are the new rankings. All right, so yeah, the new rankings have come out in college basketball. One still Villanova, Clemson's up to 18th, really good. Purdue is a really shocking school being up where they are. Kentucky not ranked, which is surprising. Rhode Island's ranked 24th. UNC back up in the top 10. I mean, it's a pretty decent. I think tomorrow the new brackets come out, and so we'll look forward that new bracketology. So now we're going into NFL, talking about these games. We'll start with the first game. And I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible being a New England fan. So we'll look at the box score real quick before we actually talk about the game. Start with Jacksonville stats. Bortles, 23 of 36 for 3 yards and 1 touchdown with a QB rating of 98.5. Fournette had 76 yards. Yeldon had 25. Receiving wise, Hearns had 80 yards. Grant had Beatley being at 41, and then there's like 4 other receivers with like 30 or less yards. Defensively for Jacksonville, their leading tackler was Smith with 8. Miles Jack had 7. Boye had 6. I don't think that any of them had turnovers. And we'll go to actually the Patriots real quick. The Patriots stats. Brady at 26 of 38 for 290 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lewis was the leading rusher at 34 yards. As a team, they had 46 yards rushing for the Patriots. Brandon Cooks, 100 yards. Amendola, 84 yards, 2 touchdowns. Defensively, Benoit was the leading tackler, tied with Trey Flowers at 9. So we'll talk now about the game itself. I thought Jacksonville played really good. They got out to about I think it was a 14-3 lead. There was a part of me that was like, Jacksonville's doing everything they're supposed to. In that first half, they ran Patriots defense. Bortles played amazing. I'm not going to blame Bortles for this loss that Jacksonville took. He had it. If he would have thrown another touchdown, you would say I thought he played better than Brady in this game. But with that said, second half came around. The Patriots, a lot of me feels like the Patriots in a lot of their games play possum a lot, and they do just enough to stay within the game, just so in the fourth quarter they can make comebacks, and they do that very well. Amendola with 2 touchdowns in the second half. The second one with about 2 minutes left in the game, which was a big play. Amendola definitely the player of the game in my mind. I think that I feel that that this was a close game, and Patriots are really scaring their fans, man. I'm telling you, these heart attacks. Overall, though, I felt the Patriots defense, they do the best they can to bend and not break, and they do a good job at it. So the second game we're going to talk about isn't much to talk about. It's the Eagles game here, and let me just tell you this. I've never seen a team I've never seen a team blow out an opponent in an NFC Championship as bad as Philly. Outstanding if we look at his stats. Don't care about the Viking stats. There's nothing there to talk about. 26 of 33. 353 touchdowns. It was only sacked once. A QBR of 95. Jai had 73 yards, 93 yards receiving. Jeffrey had 85 yards, touchdown, 69 yards. Defensively, the beast defense. I think probably the best defense in the league. In my are never seen a team obliterate an NFC Championship. It just surprises me how bad they just blew these guys out. And so it sets up a rematch from the 04-05 season. The Super Bowl was played in 05. It was about 13 years ago. Super Bowl 39, the Patriots and the Eagles. This one in Minnesota. And so I think that's the thing that hurts the most. If I was a Vikings fan, the thing that would hurt the Eagles in the NFC Championship. Quick thing. Excuse me. But just as a fan, just reading all these reports as of the Eagles, what they did to the Vikings fans. The Vikings fans were, before the game, they were by the Rocky statue on the stairs doing the skull chant, which let me just say is the most annoying chant I've ever heard in my life. They dressed Rocky up in Vikings apparel and well, during the game, the Eagles beat the Vikings, literally just beat the hell out of them, as the fans did to the Vikings fans. Reports of fights in the parking lot, reports of fights in the stadium. I just wouldn't want to be in that stadium at all. I wouldn't want to be a police officer in that stadium. I wouldn't want to do anything that has to do with the Eagles fans. And then to consider that these have to to Minnesota to invade the Vikings fans once again. And just, oh man, I just can't imagine what's going to happen. Minnesota's going to be a gloomy city. There's an impending snowstorm on the way. They're supposed to get like a foot of snow this week. But with that said, oh boy, the Super Bowl's going to be fun. As a Patriots fan, it's hard to not be biased. And I'm not going to doubt Tom Brady ever. But let me tell you, if the Eagles played the way they played yesterday, hopefully we'll have Gronk back. I think we'll have Gronk back in time. So have to find a way to guard Gronk. I think they'll do it. I mean, the Jags did it most of the game until they knocked him out. Um, Brady's hand should be better. He should get all the stitches out. There's reports that there's a ligament in the thumb where he got the stitches. But Brady should be okay by then. We should be a somewhat healthy team, but they're healthy as well. And I just tell you, if they had Wentz, I'd almost guarantee the Eagles to win this. With Foles as quarterback, though, again, y'all slept. I feel a lot of people slept on Foles. He got thrown in after the Rams game, or at the end of the Rams game. He got thrown in, not having run a lot of reps with the first stringers, and so he beat the Giants up pretty bad. He struggled against the Raiders. He struggled against the Falcons a little bit when the game against the Falcons. And then he came here in this game at home against the Vikings in their own city, and he just blew them out. They just blew the Vikings, and he was QB of the week. I mean, when you had Tom Brady more playoff losses than the other two teams or the other three teams have in QB starts. If you think about it that way, Foles had 2 playoff starts his entire career. And then Bortles was making his 3rd one, and then Keenum was making his 2nd start. So combined, they had like 7 starts, and Brady, I think, has more playoff losses than they did starts. Brady's been in a lot of playoff games. What I was saying is that Brady had the experience, didn't have the execution that Nick Foles did. Nick Foles played amazing. Blake Bortles played amazing. Case Keenum, not so much. Let me tell you this, though. Jalen Ramsey looked butthurt on the sideline. And they did an interview I saw on NFL Network this morning. He was like, look, they asked him, what can you learn from the loss? And I think the pride that this player has, that Jalen Ramsey has, there's a reason I just can't stand Jalen Ramsey. Part of it's because he's from Florida State and I'm a Clemson fan. But I just really can't stand Jalen Ramsey, man. I'm telling you. He's prideful. He's cocky. And so they asked him, what can you learn from this loss? I mean, what they could have learned from the loss is, hey, we shouldn't have talked, and if we can't complete it, and let me just say that the defense didn't play bad, but his answer was essentially, oh, people are going to tell us, yeah, we can. People are going to say, oh, yeah, we can learn this and this from this loss. He's like, I ain't got nothing to learn from this loss. As if I just don't like Jalen Ramsey, his pride. I think that's one thing. He reminds me a lot of a young Cam Newton when Cam Newton first got into the league. He needs to calm himself down. I think a lot of the young and the youth, the youth of the Jacksonville Jaguars are what's good about their defense, but it's also a thing I think that's going to hurt them in the long run. As you saw, Tom Brady exploded on Boye, again, another proud cornerback. Parents against Cooks down the sideline. You didn't have to touch him. You already pushed him out of bounds. He wouldn't have caught it. But you wrapped your arms around him, and then you started crying to the ref at the penalty. And I just think the youth, if they can mature and get better and continue to play at the rate the Jaguars are playing, and if the Jaguars can find their quarterback for the future, as much as I don't want to say this, I think what I would do, I heard this, I think it was Prime, and she said this on his show, NFL Network, last night. sign Eli Manning to like a 2-year contract because he's good. He's good with Coughlin's system. And then in the first round draft, Lamar Jackson, you got like the 29th pick. Lamar's going to be there. He'll be like a Russell Wilson sort of development quarterback. He'll take 2 to 3 years, but bam, you got him. And then Eli can be there to help him grow. Eli's not a bad quarterback. He's just in a bad situation right now. Anyway, so I'm going to take a little time out real quick to let you know about this Anchor app that I'm using. So I'm using this headset right here, and it's hooked up to my phone. If you have an Apple, you would recognize what this is. And to plug the headphones in because they took the headphone port out. It only works on cell phones. If you have an Android, you wouldn't need this. And you don't even need a headset. I like headsets better, but you can just put the phone up to your, like you're making a phone call and talk that way. Or you can just talk normal into the phone. I will say this. If you see right here the time, 3:18, 3:19 is counting. And this little bar right here that you can only record up to like 5 minutes, I think, at a time per segment. It's sort of like if you're doing like a radio show and every 5 minutes or so. So if you go onto my Anchor page, if you download the app, Anchor, Anchor, and you look up Randall Beatley, it's hooked to my Facebook page. If you look up Randall Beatley, you'll see my station. And it'll play the 5-minute intervals. And what you can do is you can add music. You can add call-ins. I'll show you in a second what you can do. In fact, if you're on the Anchor app, you're listening to this, you probably should stop recording. So I'll stop recording here. And if you're on Google Hangouts, so I'll show you. So you can add call-ins. I know you can't really see it because the screen's too bright. Let me turn the brightness down and see if you can see it. Anyway, you can add call-ins, you can record, you can add music, you can do interludes between segments. So if you do want to call in, go ahead, and I'll have to approve it, and I can put you into my station. I'm done recording on it for right now. So I'm going to take this headset off. I'm just going to finish the rest of this podcast here. The mere fact that this is, it's just a trial to see how it worked. I thought I could record a whole podcast with it. But it's 5-minute segments, which is cool. Makes things interesting. But what we're going to talk about now for the rest of the podcast is the special 25th anniversary episode of Monday Night Raw. So look up some other, and we're going to talk about 25th episode of Raw. I'm going to talk about the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. I'm trying to pull the card up real quick. Excuse me for not being ready. I got a match card. Okay, so let's talk about this 25th anniversary. We got a lot of, I don't know if you don't know the setup. So they're live from Manhattan Center and Barclays Center. The first hour being the Manhattan Center, and that's where most of the legends will be, if not all the legends they called back, will be, and a lot of them will also appear at Barclays. But Manhattan Center is going to be the first hour. JR and King are going to be your announcers. So it's going to be like old time Raw, and I'll imagine that's how the setup's going to be. We'll also, and so then for the second and third hour, you'll get the normal show, which is awesome because it's really just going to be a 2-hour Raw once you get into Barclays, which is awesome. So you get all your special stuff, your old memories back. and then in the first hour, and then you move over to Barclays and you'll run the actual show, because you got to remember this is the send-off show for Royal Rumble. So some potential things that can happen, some rumored things that can happen are this. I don't know if this is going to happen, but it looks like Shawn Michaels said on SportsCenter earlier today that, I'm going to read the exact quote because I wrote it down when I messaged my friend about it. Let me find it. You don't know I got an iPad, so I'm using that. Anyway, so on SportsCenter, he said that tonight will be, and this is where the quote starts, a monumental night where big announcements will be made, not only for the Rumble this Sunday, but for WrestleMania around the corner. Before that, he preluded it with, if I know the WWE like I do. Now, Shawn Michaels is in the inner workings of it. He's done a lot of things for the WWE after he retired. So it's not like he doesn't have content, and I think he's just trying to play it back. About what's tonight. I think tonight, one of the big announcements will be where next year's WrestleMania will be, where WrestleMania 35. So we know 34 is in Los Angeles, not Los wrong LA, NOLA, New Orleans. My bad, I'm sorry, guys. New Orleans, Louisiana. In the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Louisiana, because now we got two Mercedes-Benz stadium names, the Saints and the Falcons, which is awkward. But anyway, so we got that, and it's believed, and this is from people on Twitter who are who are big in the business of I think I forgot the name of the page that actually posted this, but they said that it's down to 2 finalists. It should be released sometime this week, and that the 2 finalists, while the cities are completely different, they're within 96 miles of each other, the 2 locations. So the researcher in me looked up potential cities. Now, it's been rumored for about the last month to 2 months that it would be in the Northeast. And so you take a look at the big cities in the Northeast that could host it. And so my mind goes to big cities in the Northeast being Boston, Providence, New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. 96 miles between each other. So now you're looking up 2 cities. Boston can't hold. They don't have a lot of places to hold it. They really only have TD Garden. So I scratched that one off. Unless you want to go to Foxborough to hold WrestleMania and have the rest in inner city Boston at the TD Garden, which to me just doesn't work because Foxborough is an hour and a half away. So Boston, I scratched out. Providence, sort of the same thing. They don't have enough to, other than Dunkin' Donuts Arena, to really put it anywhere. So there goes Providence, Rhode Island. Delaware doesn't have much. New Jersey doesn't have much. And so you're really down to 4 finalists in my book: D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York City. And so D.C. would work. I don't think it has the parking capacity to host a WrestleMania, and none of it is within the 96 mile sort of rumored distance between another city. This would be Baltimore, and that's only like a 30. And then New York's like an extra 90 miles. So Baltimore to New York City is 97 miles if you would do it at the arenas in Baltimore. M&T Bank Arena Stadium, I think is what it is. And then, MetLife would be probably where they did it if it went to New York. And then the Lincoln Financial would be Philadelphia. So it just so happens that Lincoln Financial and MetLife is 96 miles apart from each other. So that's the 2. To me, the finalists will be either Philadelphia or New York City. If they announce it tonight, I'm expecting a New York announcement. But I would love Philadelphia. I would really love Philadelphia. Which means we'll probably have to wait till 36 to get one in Atlanta. I really want one in Atlanta. I really want one in Charlotte. Charlotte can host it. I believe it. That's where I'm at. Charlotte. That's where I'm at. So we might have to wait a little bit. We'll probably get one in London here soon. Maybe one in Toronto in the next couple of years. Maybe Montreal. I don't think they'll ever go back to Montreal for a big name pay-per-view. After the screw job. But anyway, other things that are rumored to be announced that are big announcements is John Cena's feud, most likely for WrestleMania, will start tonight. Who it's against, we don't know, but there's one man who's being rumored, who is a legend, who will be there tonight, that we're looking for, and that is the Dead Man Undertaker. Cena has entered the Royal Rumble, so I don't see it starting at the Rumble. See, is it starting tonight? I do believe the Undertaker will wrestle one final WrestleMania and retire in the Mercedes Arena like he should have at 30 after he lost the streak. To me, the streak was something that should have been his retirement match that he lost and would have been his only loss. So now that he beat Wyatt the year after that, so he was 22-1. And then he beat McMahon, so he was 23-1. Now he's 23-2 after losing to Roman. 23-2 is still a good record, but it is believed it'll be Cena versus Taker at Mania, and sort of a loser retires match, and that Cena will go over and be the one to retire completely the Undertaker. Now, let me tell you why I'm excited if this happens. I know a lot of fans don't want it to happen for reasons I completely understand. And I will say this. Again, I completely understand. The Undertaker has given 30-plus years of his life to the business. He's put his body on the line so many times. His body is crumbling. He just had hip replacement surgery, though, the week or so after Mania 33. So by the time he wrestles this match, he'll be a year out from that surgery. So I'm not worried. And he's not a full-time wrestler, so it's not like he's wrestling full-time. He wrestles once a year. And this will probably be his last match in the ring. So if Mark Calloway thinks he can do one more match, one of the safest wrestlers to do it against, because it's not a high-fly offense. If you look at Taker's last 4 opponents from 30 to if this would happen, so from 30, 31, 32, 33, and now 34, which would be his last 5 Manias, it was Brock. 31 was Wyatt, 32 was Shane, 33 was Roman, and 34 is rumored to be Cena. None of them have a high-fly sort of arsenal where he has to sort of do dangerous moves. I think really the most dangerous thing he had to do was take an F5 or move off the table when Shane jumped off the cage and take a couple spears, and then the sister Abigail, but he won that match. So I think him fighting Cena will be a safe match if Mark Calloway wants to do it. So for the fans that are like, so there's 2 types of fans that are against Undertaker coming back, and I'm going to explain the mentality of them. The first one is he's given enough to the business, let him rest, his body deserves a break mentality. And I don't have any of those in my inner circle of friends, so tonight everyone that I know that watches wrestling, so me, Cody, my friend Dylan, my friend Ben, who, if you go back and watch early episodes on this channel, were in there. They haven't done much here recently. That's okay. But me, Cody, those 2 are going to meet at Cody's house tonight to watch it. And I'll probably go live on Facebook Live on the Outlaw Sports Network page. I'm going to talk to Cody about this, about him doing live on Facebook with his phone and me going live on Twitter with my phone, so that both worlds get the reaction on social media. And with that, anyway, so yeah, we're gonna meet up there. James has to go hang out with his girlfriend, which I don't blame him. It's up to him. And then Jake, of course, is in Tennessee, so we can't bring him along unless he wants to travel now to come hang out and then travel back tomorrow. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, we're probably gonna go live to view. This is a big event. It's being rumored that they're going to try to make this event bigger than the WrestleMania or the Raw after WrestleMania. So if you know the Raw after WrestleMania, that's a hype event to start the year. I was there last year, live in person in Orlando. Let me tell you, I enjoyed that crowd. Other than the whole Beach Ball Mania thing, I was not impressed with that. I thought it was stupid. Just for the mere factor that it started, and I get that 205 Live is not entertaining. But if WWE senses that the fans aren't into talent, they're going to stop using them. And if you look at the talent that was in that match, you had Austin Aries, you had Mustafa Ali, I think TJ Perkins, and I think Rich Swann were in that match, if I remember correctly. And if you read Austin Aries' sort of interview after he left WWE, it was the fans on the main roster that he just didn't like them, especially that WrestleMania crowd, because he felt they took away from the act. And again, if WWE officials see that you're not into a match, if you're not into certain talent, they're just not going to use them. And he felt that it took away from, and I agree completely with Neville, and that was my whole thought, was this whole Beach Ball Mania thing took away from the talent that was in that match. And you see the cruiserweights are not being used the way they should be. I think a lot of it is creative's fault, but for us to just blame creative for Austin Aries leaving, the fans, a part of the reason. They could have been entertained, they could have cheered, they could have supported a lot more so that 205 could be something bigger than what it is today. That's just my take on it. But again, if you know the WrestleMania, or the Raw after WrestleMania crowd, it's hype. And it's a big show. All the debuts are going to start. I expect a lot of NXT debuts tonight as Royal Rumble entrants, which is where I'm going to move in now. I don't expect a lot other than if they announce WrestleMania to be announced tonight, and it'll probably be New York, I expect Cena's feud with Taker. If it's real, if that's a real rumor, if Triple H wants to start his rumor or his feud with whoever, it could start tonight as well. Who, I have no idea with Triple H. He hasn't been on TV much this year. He was at Mania, and after Mania, he was at Survivor Series, and that was it. We haven't seen much of Triple H this year, which is a good thing to not see them. But he's done Roman, he's fought Seth. Samoa Joe is injured, so you can't sort of have him turn on Samoa Joe or Samoa Joe turn on him. You don't have I don't think Finn Balor will be a feud that it could be Finn. It's if it doesn't start tonight, could start at the Rumble itself with him screwing over Braun Strowman. It would be Strowman versus Triple H, which will be an interesting fight for one. But anyway, I want to talk about Royal Rumble. So we got, as of now, in the men's Royal Rumble, only 12 announced superstars out of the 30. So normally at this point we'll have 20 people announced, maybe 25, which only leaves room for 5 surprises, and the surprises aren't really surprises. I have 12, and you got Cena, Finn Balor, Randy Orton, Nakamura, Elias, Corbin, Woken Hardy, Wyatt, Rusev, Aiden English, Titus O'Neil, and Apollo Crews, which is decent. I think the winner is in that announced crowd. I think Nakamura wins unless they have a surprise entrance win. And to me, the only person who could be surprised to win would be Dolph Ziggler. As of now, only 12 have entered going into the week of Royal Rumble, which leaves a lot of surprises. And we'll get a lot of NXT debuts at Royal Rumble and a few old-timers maybe. And so, again, I think Nakamura wins that match to set up AJ versus Nakamura at WrestleMania. That's just my prediction. The Women's Royal Rumble, I have no idea about who's going to win, but we have, according to this site, 17. I think we actually have 18 announced because Alicia Fox isn't on here. But it's Alicia Fox, Asuka, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, Bayley, Naomi, Natalya, Sonya, Mandy, Mickie James, Tamina, Lana, Carmella, Becky Lynch, and Dana Brooke are the 18 announced women to win this. Winner faces their respective champion. I have 2 potential winners. Excuse me. Remember that? I have 2 potential winners. I think Becky Lynch could win, have her set up a feud against Charlotte. Or I think Nia Jax could win to set up a feud against her best friend, Alexa Bliss. Asuka could win, but I don't think so. Winners and Becky Lynch or Nia. So we'll go from weakest match to strongest match to those 2 are going to be. Those 2 should be the main event in my main events in my category. With the men, of course, main eventing. Enzo versus Cedric. I don't really care for this match, to be honest. I want Cedric to win, but I also like Enzo, so I don't really care. The Bar versus Rollins and Jordan. It's going to be Rollins and Jordan. I just don't get this pairing. What's that? Oh, yeah, the Revival that I think deserve a shot at it. I think they could set up a WrestleMania match to get the titles. Usos versus Benjamin and Gable in the 2 out of 3 falls. I think Benjamin and Gable win the titles. The handicap match for the WWE Championship, Styles versus Owens and Zayn, as AJ Styles wants to call him Cammy. Styles wins. They have to. Styles wins. And then we'll get to Lesnar versus Strowman versus Kane. I think this match, Strowman should win, but he's not. I think Lesnar retains because Triple H turns on Braun Strowman and crosses him again, and then that's going to set up the feud. And that's just my book. With that said, that's our Royal Rumble and Raw 25 preview. Thanks for watching. I'm going to try to do one of these every week. I'm just let you know, I'm 5 weeks to the day out of surgery. I had it 5 Mondays ago to repair my ACL. I'm doing good so far, recovery. Got 1 more week till I can learn to walk again. And hopefully the week after that, hopefully the 5th, the day after the Super Bowl, I can return to work and start making money again. So things are going to look up. But again, if it's continue sending thoughts and prayers and good vibes over this way. But yeah, thank you again. I'm Randall Beatley. This is my sports recap here on the Outlaw Sports Network.